If we look out behind us, I'm standing on the walkway between the Contemporary and the Bay Lake Towers, we can see a lot of the Seven Seas Lagoon. Now, of course, you may realize that the Seven Seas Lagoon was not an original thing that was here at Walt Disney World. That was actually a piece of swampland that was dredged out. And one of the reasons it was dredged out was to use some fill to put on top of the already existing lands. So they could build the Magic Kingdom at a height that was greater than the surrounding lands. They could build the utilidors. The utilidors themselves, the tunnels underneath the Magic Kingdom, are actually at ground level, and then they put the fill on it, and so the Magic Kingdom is actually at about 109 feet above sea level, and then above that, the Cinderella's castle, actually the spires only go up 199 feet, though through forced perspective, they actually feel like they go up a lot higher. And the reason they're at 199 feet is because you have to put a navigation light for airplanes at the top of it, assuming that it goes higher than 200 feet. So they just made the castle about 90 feet tall from the ground floor, from where the bottom of it is, at the foot of the Magic Kingdom. So kind of an interesting little detail there, a little nugget. On the other side across from me, if I turn around and look the other way, is Bay Lake. Bay Lake actually did exist. That was something that existed here when Walt bought the property. That lake actually existed, and they decided to use that as a navigable waterway to put some other things in. But they chose the site for the Seven Seas Lagoon because of the better location to put the Magic Kingdom. It made more sense to put it there because the lake was already pretty well established. But the Seven Seas Lagoon, that area was more swampy, and it just made more sense to go ahead and dredge that out. So they dredged it out and put it on top of the land that was over where the Magic Kingdom is. You can see the spires sticking up over there. And it actually did work out fairly well for them in terms of how they were able to build it and build up the land. And it worked out really well. And then they put the Contemporary here on this plot of land. Now, remember that there was also some plans to do some other properties around. They had planned to do another themed resort over in that area. And then over closer to where the Grand Floridian is, you can actually see the Grand Floridian. That's where they had originally planned to put another resort. I believe that one might have been the one from the other Asian resort. I can't remember which was which. But anyway, they had the two resorts that they were going to put there. And that was kind of the idea, was to put them in and have different resorts here and have the monorail line even go a little bit differently so it would service all of them. There were two key people who were integral to the building and construction of Walt Disney World. The first is Admiral Joe Fowler, who was hired by Disney without Walt actually knowing it, according to legend. He was brought on to help build the Mark Twain riverboat in Disneyland, and then he later traveled as part of the group that was incognito to Florida to scout out a site for Disney World. And then he was responsible for the engineering and construction of the park. The second person is General Joe Potter. He's credited with helping to build much of the underground utilities such as power and water treatment for the parks and other infrastructure. Incidentally, Potter met Walt Disney at the New York World's Fair in 1964, and they became fast friends, and Walt hired him almost on the spot. He was probably the most key person to ensuring that the Disney World project came to fruition after Walt died. Here's a quick shot of he and Walt walking through the property. And there is a window at Walt Disney World dedicated to Joe Potter. He's a raconteur, a person who tells anecdotes in a skillful and amusing way, which kind of summarizes his work for the Disney Company.